Iran formally declared the complete termination of all restrictions under the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, on October 18, 2025, marking the official expiration of the landmark nuclear accord after a decade of mounting tensions and partial compliance. In a statement confirmed by Iranian state media and reported by international outlets, including the Times of Israel, Iran announced that all provisions of the agreement, including limits on uranium enrichment, centrifuge deployment, and stockpile volumes, are now null and void, with the expiration of United Nations Security Council Resolution 2231, which has enshrined the JCPOA terms in international law. Iran asserted it is now bound only by its obligations under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT, effectively freeing it to enrich uranium up to 60% purity, a level just short of the 90% required for weapons-grade materials. While Iranian officials, including Foreign Minister Saeed Abbas Araghchi, insisted the country remains committed to diplomacy and has no current intention to build nuclear weapons, the move has reignited global fears of a nuclear arms race in the Middle East and prompted sharp condemnation from Western powers who views the escalation as a direct threat to regional and global security. The collapse of the JCPOA comes after years of erosion following the United States' unilateral withdrawal from the deal in 2018 under the previous administration, which reimposed crippling sanctions on Iran's economy. European signatories, namely the United Kingdom, France, and Germany, attempted to salvage the agreement through mechanisms like INSTEX, a special-purpose vehicle designed to facilitate trade without violating U.S. sanctions. But these efforts proved insufficient to offset the economic pressure. In response, Iran gradually breached key limits starting in 2019, incrementally increasing enrichment levels and installing advanced centrifuge. By 2025, with no viable path to sanctions relief and facing internal political consolidations under hardline leadership, Iran opted to fully exit the framework. Notably, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has consistently backed a strategy emphasizing self-reliance, missile development, and regional influence through proxy networks in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen. Rather than reintegration into the Western-led economic order, this ideological stance has marginalized moderate voices within Iran who has advocated for renewed engagement with Europe and the United States, leaving diplomacy increasingly constrained by domestic power dynamics and mutual distrust. Russia has emerged as Iran's most vocal international supporter in the wake of the JCPOA expiration, signaling strong opposition to any attempts by Western nations to reimpose sanctions or extend UN oversight. Days before the official termination date, a senior Iranian official met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow, where both sides reaffirmed their strategic partnership amid shared opposition to U.S. hegemony. Following the meeting, Russian officials announced that all remaining UN restrictions on Iran's arms trade and missile technology would formally lapse on October 18, in accordance with the original JCPOA timeline. Moscow criticized the UK, France, and Germany for what it describes as unilateral attempt to revive dead mechanisms, arguing that the agreement's expiration must be respected under international law. This alignment between Moscow and Tehran extends beyond diplomatic rhetoric. The two nations have deepened military and technological cooperations, including Iranian drone transfers to Russia for use in Ukraine and potential Russian assistance in upgrading Iran's air defense and nuclear infrastructure. This growing axis complicates U.S. effort to isolate either country and creates a formidable counterweight to Western influence in both the Middle East and Eastern Europe. Amid this geopolitical shift, U.S. President Donald Trump characterized the original nuclear deal as a disaster, but claimed Iran now wants to make a deal, suggesting an opening for renewed negotiations on the different terms. However, this assertion appears at odds with Tehran's current posture and the hardening of positions on both sides. The situation is further complicated by recent military actions, including U.S. submarine launch Tomahawk missile strikes on Iranian nuclear sites in June 2025, which Tehran condemned as act of aggression. These strikes occurred as part of a broader campaign to degrade Iran's nuclear capabilities following intelligence reports of accelerated enrichment activities. The timing of these developments coinciding with Zelensky's visit to Washington and Russia's vocal backing of Iran illustrate the interconnected nature of global flashpoint, where decisions in one theater reverberate across others. If you have made it this far, congratulations, you have unlocked the truth. I want to ask you a quick question though. Now that the JCPOA has fully expired and Iran is free to advance its nuclear program without international oversight, what is the greater immediate threat? The possibility of a nuclear-armed Iran triggering a regional arms race? Or the heightened potential for a preemptive military strike by Israel or the United States that could ignite a much wider war across the Middle East? Join the debate. We want to hear your insightful opinion on where this is all heading in our community. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Like the video, hit the notification bell, and most importantly, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.